welcome to my first cooking video. So don't judge me. I'm going to be making venison two ways. And I have the tenderloin and I also have a sirloin. So I'm going to just wash my hands. They're all clean, ready to go. I'm going to take the tenderloin out of the package. It was frozen from the processor, so I thought it slowly in the fridge. And then I took it out a little bit before I started this just to get it to a better temperature. Anyway, this one isn't going to need much trimming. Actually, I might just leave most of it. But there's a thing called silver skin, and I like to take it off because it gives the meat more of a gamey flavor. So it's just, sometimes it's a little harsh. It just depends on the deer. I guess some years it's been not as gamey as others, and I haven't had to trim the silver skin off as much, which is great because it is a little bit of a pain, but it's totally worth it, especially if you are a beginner and you haven't had venison before. You can also do any of these seasonings paired with beef, pork, chicken. I use a lot of the same seasonings, but I vary things a little bit. But this is a good marinade for everything, I think. It really lends itself well to all the different types of meat. You could even do a lot of this with vegan or vegetarian options, like tofu. I've soaked in this marinade as well, and it's nice. And then, you can vary a couple of the key ingredients. So I'm just trimming off little bits of fat, and I'm going to try to get this silver skin all done. And I'm taking my knife as close to the silver skin as I can, and then I start to peel away at it. And then it leaves more meat. If I was really good at it, then I could probably do it a little quicker and probably not lose as much of the meat. I also like to use scissors for cutting meat. Shout out to Sarah Tolman, who told me that while I was trimming stuff up with a sharp knife. It was working fine. My sister comes along and she gets some kitchen shears and she just starts going to town. It was much, much easier. Okay, so I have just a little bit more that I'm going to trim off here, and then I'm going to set that one aside and go to the next. Getting my knife really right underneath that level of silver skin. It's not quite fat. It's part of the tendon tissue, I think. Don't quote me on that, but anyway, it doesn't taste real great. Okay, done. So a little better. It didn't need a whole lot of trimming anyway. So I'm just going to put the tenderloin back in the container. Take my trimmings out. Toss that. Okay, so now on to the sirloin. Same thing, I'm just going to try to go through and get the silver skin off, which is this area right here around the outside. This one looks pretty good too. Sometimes the butchers take a little more time when they're packaging, so they must not have, last year they left a lot on, so either somebody didn't come back, but this one is much nicer with the silver skin, is easier to get to. Anyway, I'm just trimming this off. Also a good sharp knife, that'll help. Okay, so that's one steak done. This next one I'm going to try with my kitchen shears, just to give you a little demo of it. So there's only 2 of the sirloin steaks in this one. Each pack, I think they try to get to weigh about a pound. So you never know exactly how many slices. And well, this guy did a really nice job. I might have to call and thank him. This is also my 3rd year processing and cooking deer, and before that I had never touched it in my life. So it's been a little bit of a learning curve trying to cook it well. It really, when you do cook it, you try to keep to like a perfect medium rare, that's, I feel like, the best. You know, when you overdo it, then you just lose all that delicate quality of the venison. So you see, I'm just taking my shears along the edge there, and that's all trimmed up. Okay, so cool. That was really quick. Just going to chuck my bits and clean up my meat station. I think I can fast forward through this part, but anyway, just cleaning up a little. Okay, so I am just going to start with the sirloin, and I have, I kind of have a trinity of spices I use for everything. So this is a little bit of ground black pepper, there's onion powder, garlic powder, sea salt, and I have just a little bit of a smoked paprika. I really enjoy the smoked paprika because it just adds one more layer of flavor that can be subtle, or if you use a lot, you can really, get a little bit of that smoky flavor. And it's nice. I'm going to be grilling everything, and that's a nice addition to that preparation, because the natural smoke from the grill and also that little smoked paprika, it's like harmony. Anyway, so that's my little spice mix there, and I'm just going to kind of mix it together with my hands. I hardly ever measure anything. I just kind of play around with things, and when I notice that something needs a little more salt and pepper at the end, then I do that. So I'm just going to sprinkle that on one side and then turn it over and do the other side. And I think I probably put a little bit too much in the bowl, so I'm going to leave that aside. There's always more to use those little mixes. I do like to get, well, when I'm really proactive, I like to make up my my little spice mix. I use salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. And I mix them all up together so that when I'm doing a lot of cooking, it kind of goes a little bit quicker. I don't have to keep opening the lids of my jars, because that really is my base seasoning for almost everything that I make. Sometimes I omit the onion powder. It just depends. Especially if I'm cooking with a lot of onions, then I don't put as much. Or if I'm cooking with a lot of fresh garlic, then I also don't put as much. Okay, so this one is well coated. I just kind of patted in the seasoning and moved it around a little bit. And I'm going to finish with my special ingredient, the ponzu sauce. It is an Asian sauce. It's a little lighter than soy sauce, and it has a little bit of lime added to it. And lime is a great marinade. It any kind of citrus or acid that you add to a marination will make your meat more tender. And this one is a nice subtle flavor. You don't get when you cook with Asian sauces, if you use it right, it doesn't make it an Asian dish. How about that? I use soy sauce as a marinade, and I'm going to on the next piece of meat. Yeah, so anyway, ponzu. And I just sprinkle enough. There's a little bit running. I'm also going to drizzle olive oil on the top, and then I'm going to let this marinate until I'm ready to cook. It is about 1:30, so I probably won't put stuff on the grill until maybe 6. So this is a quick marinade. You don't have to. I've done it, just prepping up dinner and throwing it right on the grill, and it comes out nicer. The ponzu sauce, though, you may want to pull back a little bit on it, because that when it hasn't had time to soak in the meat, sometimes you can taste the flavor of it aside from the seasonings. It's just a little more prominent. So I would say pull back on that if you're gonna do this and throw it right on the grill. Okay, so the tenderloin is here, and I got a little piece of that. All right, so this one I'm going to do the trinity of seasonings with the addition of a little red pepper. I also am going to do just a squirt of lime, soy sauce, and I have a prepared garlic paste that I'm going to put on that as well. And it will, it'll give it like a little bit more texture on the crust. And then also I'm going to drizzle it with olive oil. So same mix. I'm just going to mix it with my hands, sprinkle it on, turn it over. And I also had a little bit extra I need a clean towel. I don't want to touch the bottles. So this is just, I don't know, maybe it's a teaspoon. I don't measure. The same with the lime, just a little bit. Oh my gosh. Next time I'm gonna have to have all my lids off before. So I'm just gonna squeeze this into my hand. It's like toothpaste, and I'm just gonna use that much. And it may or may not be the perfect amount, but we'll see. Life is an experiment, and I like to do it probably like 2 tablespoons of olive oil there. Now, if I have extra, sometimes I like to brush it on the meat, like right before I'm going to take it off, and I'll just roll it around on the grill a little bit. There isn't a whole lot in this one, and this one is going to have a nice coating. The whole loin is completely covered, which is great. So I'm just going to get these 2 right in the fridge. I just got a new fridge, and I love my boyfriend. He will buy me a new fridge if I want one. Although I will pitch in on it, but we needed one, and so we got one. Anyway, I love it. It's almost as good as jewelry, which I don't really get excited about jewelry too much, but when I do get it, it's always makes you feel good or pretty or something like that. Anyway, I guess I have a fridge thing. It's like jewelry. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna let those marinate in the fridge until, I don't know, until it starts to get dark. My Chad is out cutting wood or doing something, farming, who knows. He's always got a long list of things that he can do. And so I'm just gonna stop there, and thank you for watching. I will post the next segment, which will be cooking and serving. Thank you for watching.